When an educator tells me that their health plan is not consistent or that they feel like it is failing throughout the school year, I don't immediately assume that the health plan doesn't work or that it isn't good enough. I don't assume that they don't have willpower, they don't have discipline, or that they don't have motivation. Because in my experience as an exercise physiologist, most health plans don't fail because there's lack of effort. They typically fail because the health plan is not designed for the environment it is going to be used within. Hey, if it's your first time meeting me, my name is Harper. I help educators stop losing their health to the education system. So if you feel like your health plan keeps failing, there are a few things that I would, if you were to come to me, that I would look at first, okay? So what a lot of health coaches do is they just throw you this generic plan. And we know that your health is not generic. Everything that you get when it comes to your health, it should start with personalizing the information that you give and that you receive. So a few things that I look at first. Number one, I look at whether your plan actually matches your reality. Now, as educators, I know that you have a busy day. I know that you're putting out fires. I know that you have a lot of meetings. Why? Because I am an educator as well. I'm in my second career, okay? My first love and my lifelong career will always be health and wellness, okay? Having been in cardiac rehabilitation and different physical therapy offices, all the things. My second career is actually education, okay? So I just took all of my exercise science, kinesiology, cardiac rehabilitation, health and wellness knowledge and experiences and just took them into a biology classroom, okay? So that is why I can speak to this, because I've not just only heard about this or learned about this, I've also done it in real life, okay, with real people, okay, which a lot of health coaches can't really say. Neither here nor there, but I look at whether the plan matches your reality. And so as an educator, you have this unique thing, this unique environment that you work within. There is no ideal version of the day, okay? There's so much going on. You're putting out fires. There's a lot going on. And oftentimes you feel like you're just so busy. And a lot of times we are, you are, I am, we're literally busy throughout the day. And so everything can begin to feel urgent. When a lot of things feel urgent, what is most important typically gets put on the back burner. And what is most important is actually your health. Okay. And so when you have a health plan that you are following, you have to determine, or we have to determine, whether your health plan actually matches your ideal day. And let me not even say ideal day, because as an educator, there is no ideal day. An ideal day is actually think about summertime. It is ideal. I'm sitting down, I'm relaxing, I'm chilling, I'm not, running around like a chicken with my head cut off, all the things, right? I can focus on one thing at a time. But as an educator, when you think about the school year, think about your day. There is so much that is going on. And so, the best health plan will take into consideration the time that you have throughout the day, the interruptions that happen throughout your day. But many health plans don't take that into consideration, right? Because a lot of health coaches don't understand your day. And so they typically give you something or a health plan that works well with your evenings or maybe your morning, right? So get up and journal in the morning, get up and eat breakfast in the morning, but it don't take into consideration what are the things that you need to be doing those 7 hours of your day, because you're not leaving your health behind. So when it comes to your health plan, you have to consider your day. Okay. And so what I often see is this: the plan requires conditions that don't exist. Okay. It don't take into consideration your school day. And so that is why it's important to have a health coach that understands what your day looks like, the things that you are dealing with, the interruptions that come your way, right? It's important to have someone that understands those things. Okay. And then number two, I look at where the breakdown actually happens, right? So does it happen typically during your planning period? Because your planning period is at the end of the day. And by the time you're sitting down during your planning period at the end of the day, you just realize how exhausted you are. And the only thing you got left to do is plan your tomorrow, possibly eat the food that you forgot to eat or didn't get to eat during lunch because a meeting ran over, and you had planned to go to the gym, but now you're trying to convince yourself to go to the gym, right? But you're so exhausted, you're like, I just really need to go home and possibly go to sleep. So I look at where the breakdown typically happens, because that breakdown tends to become a cycle. That cycle tends to become a habit. Okay, so you got to look at where that breakdown happens. Is it mid-morning? Is it the end of the day? Is it during meetings? Is it during your planning period? Is it when you have an IEP, right? Like, what does that look like? Because you have to consider those things as well, because that becomes a pattern, and then that becomes inconsistency. Okay. Now, the next thing I look at is your restart cycle. How often are you restarting? Is it, okay, on Sunday, I set my intention. On Monday, I'm getting back on track. On Tuesday, I have good momentum. On Wednesday, things start slipping. On Thursday, I'm already too tired. On Friday, yeah, right. On Saturday, I'll get back to it. I may do a little bit of something. And on Sunday, okay, I'm going to get back into it on Monday, right? I'm going to restart on Monday. So we got to look at that restart cycle, because what happens every time you restart, you are telling your brain that it is allowed to get off the hook, right? And oftentimes what we do when it comes to our inconsistencies in our health plans, it is often because we are letting ourselves off the hook. So accountability of partners is important for this, okay? It is important to have a coach for this, okay? Because those patterns start to show up, and you will always let yourself off the hook, and always be restarting, and always feel like you're failing, and always feel like you'll never be able to get what you actually need off your health journey. And so now you go to your doctor and you realize my numbers aren't changing. Oh my gosh, my blood pressure is still high, my A1C is still high, my cholesterol is still high, all the things are still high. Now they're talking about putting me on medications. I don't want to be on medications. And so now everything is just like, I got to hurry up and get back to it, right? And so then I start in the summertime. So now you're doing some things in the summertime, you're getting moving, but then the school year starts back up. And so now here comes the inconsistencies again. And now I'm restarting again. It becomes this huge cycle. And so it's important to remember that consistency doesn't come from starting over. Now, the next thing where most people get this inconsistency, this inconsistent information wrong. Most health coaches are going to tell you, you need more discipline, you need more motivation, you need more willpower. But understand, as an educator, you have a lot of consistency. Look at what you're doing every single day. Look at how every single year you are consistent with your lessons, your lesson planning, your hiring, your meetings, and all the things that you're doing throughout the day. Every single school year, you have consistency. A lot of health coaches would tell you that you lack motivation. Look at how motivated you are to get those kids to the next level. So you're not lacking motivation. A lot of health coaches are going to tell you that you lack discipline. How much more discipline can you as an educator have? You have so much discipline with everything that you're doing, and having to teach, and calling the parents, and doing the lessons, and doing the meetings, and doing the trainings, and just doing the things for the district. You have a lot of discipline, a lot of consistency, a lot of willpower. The thing is, you have to shift it to an area where it is needed, right? So you have the skill of discipline, you have the skill of consistency, you have those skills. You just have to maneuver that skill into an area of your health. So when you think about the education system itself, you are operating in a system where your time is reactive. Right? Oh my gosh, okay, I gotta go put out this fire, or I gotta take care of this behavior. It's like there's always this reaction, right? The education system also has your energy being unevenly distributed. So because your energy is unevenly distributed throughout the day, by the time it's time to focus on your health, it feels like you don't have enough energy left. That is due to the education system and not typically yourself. And then lastly, your basic health behaviors are repeatedly displaced. Meaning, last night you made this healthy meal. You said, I'm going to save some for lunch tomorrow so that I can make sure I'm eating healthy. But your healthy eating, the time to eat healthy, got displaced with a meeting that ran over. And so now, instead of you being able to sit down and eat that healthy chicken and the brown rice and the broccoli and actually woosah over your lunch, you now have to find something quick to eat, something quick to grab. And it might end up being a bag of chips from somebody's office, because I just got to quickly make sure I'm eating something because I didn't get to sit down and actually eat in entirety. So a lot of times your basic health behaviors are displaced. Okay, and that is due not to you or your discipline or lack of motivation or all the things that everybody say. A lot of times that is your the unique things you have to deal with in the education system. So this is why I say it's important for you to actually work with someone who understands how the education system can typically be a huge interrupter when it comes to your health and your health plans. A lot of times it's not personal, a lot of times it's just patterns. What actually needs to change instead? You don't need the perfect health plan, because what does perfect actually mean? Like, what does that actually mean? No health plan is going to be perfect, but you need to start asking yourself these things. What does your actual school day demand from you? What does it demand from you? Where do your health habits consistently break down? And what conditions would need to exist for your habits to survive the week? Okay, and so if you're not dialing deep into those questions and what your day actually looks like, you will go to anybody who will just throw you a quick health plan, and it won't be personalized to what you actually need and the realities of what you're dealing with in the education system. Okay, so if you feel like your health plan keeps failing, the goal is not to just try harder, it's to have more discipline. It is more motivation. Do you need some of that? Yes, absolutely. But do you need more of it? Maybe, maybe not. But the goal is to understand the pattern underneath what feels like it is failing. Okay, where it feels like you are not moving and progressing on your health journey. Okay, because once you see the patterns, you can actually disrupt those patterns. So for example, for myself, I realized that I was not drinking enough water. I would realize by the end of the day, oh my gosh, this is the first time I'm actually using the restroom. And we know that the scripture says that we are uniquely and wonderfully made, right? So I was uniquely and wonderfully made with one kidney. But I realized that me using the restroom one time in an 8-hour period was bananas. So I realized this is a pattern for me. So I had to shift and disrupt that pattern. And so what I did was I said, okay, when I wake up in the morning, I want to make sure I drink a full bottle of water. On the way to work, I'm going to make sure I drink another full bottle of water, so that by the time I get to work and before my first period starts, I'm releasing the toxins out of my body. And then I'm drinking my water throughout the day. And so at least by my second period, I'm telling the kids, once my first period releases and my second period, before they come, I lock my door, I run to the restroom. Okay, so now I'm releasing more toxins out of my body. So, I'm finding ways to make sure that I am releasing toxins out of my body. And so that's what I mean by you have to work with someone who understands the unique things that you deal with throughout your day as an educator, because you don't leave your health at the house in the morning. You take your health with you. And so you got to make sure the healthy habits follow you as well. So that way you are consistent with your health journey. So if this resonates with you and you're realizing this might be what's happening to me, my health patterns are actually being disrupted based off the education system, all of the demands, all of the interruptions that I deal with, I want you to start with my free Educator Health Gap Quiz. It will actually help you identify the patterns that is most impacting your ability to stay consistent with your health journey. Okay, and so there's a process. I call it Heal, Grow, Reset. Which one of those areas are you not consistent in? Is it with healing internally? Is it not with growing, having the knowledge? Is it with resetting and actually executing? Which one of those three areas? Is it all three? Is it just one of the threes? And so with this Educator Health Gap Quiz, it will help you to understand that pattern. Now, the next step after you take that Educator Health Gap Quiz, we will have an Educator Health Mapping session, because again, this quiz will allow you to see where your patterns are so that you can have an educator plan that is personalized to your unique needs as an educator. Okay. And so if you go down into the show notes, the link will be there, and it will actually help you build a strategy around your real health, your real circumstances, and your real needs. Okay. So the link is down in the description. Make sure you share this with someone in your network who can also utilize this. I'll see you in the next episode.